Action, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sports Junkies podcast, episode 15. Um, that is Franco. I am Joey. We're here to talk about all the things that have happened in the past week,
Great,
which
great.
has been quite a bit since
Yeah.
since we last spoke on Wednesday. So, firstly, Dom Ducharme.
Yeah.
This is breaking news, folks. I mean, it's pretty
Well,
much an
this
hour or
morning.
so ago.
Yeah, well, it happened this morning and it got confirmed like an hour ago.
Yeah, so typically, those of you who don't know, he tested positive for COVID. This morning there was speculation that that was the case, but we weren't sure. Because in the playoffs and in the regular season, we have had multiple cases where it wasn't necessarily it was just a false positive or something. Was kind of not 100% accurate with the test, this and that. And this morning, I mean, we know that all the Canadiens players have been vaccinated twice.
Yeah, well,
So
even him. Even
for me,
him.
yeah, no, everybody, yeah, I mean the staff,
Yeah.
sorry, everybody
Just
around
weird,
the
right?
organization that's in their bubble has been vaccinated twice.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a little strange.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess the science behind it is you can catch it, you just won't die. I think that's the idea. Is that it repels it at 95%. So Dom Ducharme was in that 5% somehow. There is some strange talk online about how Canada is going to react in terms of government. Where you let somebody go and it's like
Oh,
somebody comes back with COVID, right?
yes, yes. And now you're letting in a team from the States without quarantine for 14 days. And in Vegas, it's like fucking do whatever you want. You don't have to quarantine, no mask, no nothing, no social distancing. It's like whatever. So,
So there's
oh
some
boy.
interesting talks. We'll see what happens. I don't think it's gonna,
Sure, I didn't think of that. Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna get in the way of it. I mean, this is the
No.
first time in a long time that a Canadian team is,
Yeah.
somewhat has a chance here for a cup, and I think that's arguably more important to Canada than an extra 20 cases of COVID, which, if everybody's vaccinated, should not result in any deaths. Now, I don't want to minimize that situation, but if everybody's vaccinated and everybody's you know uh, taking the right steps, then there shouldn't be an issue in my mind anyway. So that's the news for the Canadiens tonight. Obviously, Game 3 goes at 8 o'clock tonight in Montreal. What are you expecting with no coach? What's the plan here?
I don't know how they're gonna come. I'm hoping like now we're gonna see the leaders have to step up, right? So like Stahl, Perry, Weber, Price, all these guys are gonna have to step up, and they're gonna have to like kind of like a collective group, gonna like lead the way with the help of like Luke Richardson, Burrows, and if Bergevin wants to throw himself into the mix,
Wants to throw himself into the
yeah,
mix.
why not? Uh,
I mean,
I'm
hey,
hoping. I think the first 5 to 10 minutes, I think is going to be very important. Is going to decide how the game's going to go. Because if we come out flat, I think it's gonna be tough for the Habs to get their feet going. But if we could come out with a good
like they
like
have,
the last
yeah.
two games, we came out and we were like on them, and we kept them at bay. But if we could do that, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think the team is playing as well as they have, all season and probably
Hmm.
the past few years. Obviously, this is a different group. But they are, what is it, 8-1 in the last 9 or whatever it
Yeah,
is, right?
yeah,
So, um, it's good that they bounced back. Obviously, that veteran presence, I think, helped in that bounce back game. Splitting the seasons and splitting the series in Vegas is
exactly,
huge.
exactly what we want.
Now it becomes a best of 5, and you have home ice advantage. So the idea here is you win your home games, you win the series. Um, let's see if that's what happens. Obviously, Vegas missing their number one center, or what they call a number one center, in Stevenson. I mean, I personally don't think it's anything. I mean, he's not.
He's
For all the stuff that we've said about Montreal lacking depth at center and all this, and the
Yeah, you
centers
should see
being young,
Vegas.
I actually think that our center ice position is a lot more solid than
Yeah.
Vegas is. And now with Alex Tuck moving to center on that first
Oh
line with
yeah, they moved him.
Pacioretty and Stone, that's what I understood. That's what we were skating with this morning.
Wow.
So it's gonna be a different look. Now, if I were the Golden Knights, I would try to have just my best face-off man play a center ice for that line, because goals have came off face-offs. We have
Yeah.
no coach, right? We lost the coach, so just put your best face-off man out.
our matchups are gonna
with that line,
be.
and hope that they can't react in time and just do what you've done. It's kind of crazy to me how the Habs haven't let up anything other than
But yeah,
those plays.
that's what
Um,
frustrates me. It's like we've the mistakes that were made, they're self mistakes, right? They're our own mistakes. It's not like
yeah, yeah.
like the goals that I saw. It's not like they like
Well,
DQ
I mean, aside
players.
from maybe the Theodore one where he pump fakes Price out of his pants,
Yeah, but
whatever.
but that's
But
us
that's
in
but
that
that's a lack of
position.
defensive coverage. Yeah, I
We
mean
had three
that's
defensemen on the ice. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. Sherrod came out of the box. He was like, Where do I go? Where do I go?"
chicken without a head.
Hey, we're
But
lost. Well,
yeah,
I think that's the positive I take out of like the loss and like the two goals that they scored last game. That there's stuffs that there's things that I think at home when we come home these next two games I think we could fix, and especially with the matchups now we have last change. So Dano's going to be on the ice when Stone's on the ice every time. We'll have Suzuki's line on for sure against. Maybe we try to get him off Jonathan Marchessault and Riley Smith's line, and maybe play him against like the Nicholas Roy's line. I don't know, but
yeah,
besides that, I think we'll be good.
yeah. I think the key is to keep the. Well, it depends on the scenario. Obviously, I mean, there's always different scenarios when a line is tired on the other side and you want to put
Yeah,
out a group or whatever it is, or your guys are tired. You want to have a situation where you can put certain guys out. But I think I would try to keep the Suzuki line away from the like Reeves line and stuff like that,
yeah,
because
yeah.
they're gonna like
Gotta come
um
after you.
they've done a pretty good job of that so far, and you know
Score
what,
a
I
goal on
think,
that line, so it's good.
yeah, I think
Last
I
game, the
mean,
first
in
goal.
my opinion, it's probably going to be Luke Richardson, in terms of head coach, in terms of deciding
Well,
what the matchups are,
I, I see,
or maybe they'll do some type of split duty where Burrows takes the forwards and Luke Richardson takes the
yeah,
defensive pairings, and just that's how they roll. We don't have a like head coach, and then they'll decide together, if they got to take a timeout, if they got to make a play, if they got to do something, or
this is Luke Richardson's like first job as a coach, like NHL, or was he a
Uh,
coach somewhere else?
no,
I don't.
I know he was a head coach in for the Ottawa Senators farm team, if I'm not mistaken,
Okay, big.
in the AHL, and then I think he came up to coach somewhere else, and then got hired by the Canadiens after that. I'd have
Okay,
to check for you just to make sure.
no, it's okay.
But this would be pretty much his first stint as a head
Yeah,
coach, as far as I know, in the NHL. Um, you know, Luke Richardson's been around a long time. He's played a long time in the league. He was a number 7 overall pick. It's not like he's a guy who doesn't know his hockey. I mean, that's kind of hockey's been his life just as much as everybody else. You know what I
yeah.
mean? He was, just to confirm with you, he was the assistant coach of the Islanders in 2017-18,
Yeah.
and then since 18-19, he's been with the Montreal Canadiens.
So okay,
Um,
at least he has some like experience outside of Montreal of coaching. So look,
yeah, yeah, and
if
he
they
was
go with
head
him,
coach. He was head coach for 4 years for the Bennington Senators, and he was also, sorry, assistant coach with the Ottawa Senators from '08 to 12.
okay,
So he's been around a long time.
yeah.
He's been
So
coaching for
but
a long time. All the defensemen that I've seen talk about Luke Richardson on our team have been very positive. He's
yeah,
not a guy who loses. He doesn't lose his cool very
yeah,
often.
very
He's
calm.
very
Very looking
calm.
at a very calm
Apparently,
guy.
yeah. Apparently, a lot of the criticism that he has is very constructive, and he's not very in your face and kind of whatever, which is kind of the modern day coach, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's we don't really have any Pat Burnses anymore. We don't have any, like, Jacques Lemaires or guys that
yeah.
will really just get in your face if you're not playing well.
What the fuck you
Um,
doing?
yeah, basically, because I don't think that's the same. It's not the same game as it was. Uh, I mean, maybe the closest this league has to it is like a Tortorella.
Yeah,
Um, but
yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Or
I think they'll be fine. I think the coaching staff is experienced enough that it kind of, in a way, they none of them have really had coaching experience in NHL.
no,
I mean, Burrows doesn't either, obviously. I'm assuming Sean Burke will be behind the bench now today, the goalie coach,
yeah. I would
just
do
to
it.
have an extra body there for decisions. Obviously, he's part of the coaching staff,
Yeah,
and goalies tend to know the game as well. I mean, we see the game from our
yeah.
eyes.
It's another look.
We see all 200 feet, right? So that's why goalies tend to be tactically okay. So it's good to have another guy on the bench who at least knows what he's doing.
Sure, for sure.
Um,
I mean, like for sure, Ducharme's going to be in contact with them. Like
Yeah,
I,
I mean, I don't know how they're gonna
highly,
do it,
highly
uh,
doubt it.
but I would suspect that he'll have some type of communication with upstairs, because they'll have the earpieces. I don't know
Yeah.
if he can directly go into their earpieces. Probably not.
Oh, they'll
Um,
find a
but
way.
they'll probably have him live or something, and have just relay the message from the earpieces upstairs to the guys on the bench, and that'll.
For sure, during
I mean,
period.
I don't think he'll make, like, it won't be his decision, but he'll just have his input in as usual and say, hey, let's match this lineup against this line.
Yeah, for sure. I
I,
think good.
and for the most part, they already know that that's going to be the case, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they've been doing it for the past, what is it, 6 days or something like that. They've been practicing for this team,
Mhm.
so they know what lines they want to match against too. If things change during the game, well, you got to adapt. But I don't think that's going to be an issue. Um,
This sucks that
two years in a row where Montreal loses their head coach in the playoffs
Oh yeah, true.
from. Last year was obviously more unfortunate
Yeah,
circumstances with
that was
Claude.
like not a cool
Um,
thing because he just had a like a
yeah,
knee
yeah,
stroke
and
or heart
uh,
attack.
and and obviously, I hope Dom is not feeling any symptoms or any like type of situation like that. That'd be kind of
Don't know.
shitty for him.
Yeah, it's okay.
Um, but I think they'll be okay. Obviously, Carey getting the start again. It's not like anything's different. The game plan's probably going to stay the same. The lines are probably going to stay the same. So it's just a matter of executing on what you've already put into place
Like
and
just
making sure
little
that making sure the effort is there.
yeah, like it's just gonna be little adjustments where, like I said before, off the face-offs is I think the most important thing I think they have to like crack down on because it's not normal that it's 4 or 5 goals now that we
Yeah, I
let
think
it
it's
off the
two-thirds
face-off,
of their goals, four to six, something
and
like
it
that.
all came from defensemen, and that's another thing where our forwards are not closing the gap, and
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. The
you gotta
first
you you
goal,
you do have to give some credit to Vegas because one, their defensemen are shifty. Some of them.
yeah, yeah,
Obviously, Shea Theodore is a great
yeah.
is a great move.
Petrangelo too, he can move.
Petrangelo can move as well. They have some guys that can move, and so you got to give them a little bit of credit. And the way that they structure their face-offs, sometimes a winger will stay up
Yeah,
instead of going down,
they play a
right? So like,
triangle. They play a
yeah,
triangle right off
so
the face-off, and
so
it's
you'll have to pick up either the man or just go to the space that the guy's going to be in, because every face-off play is very similar for them.
same thing.
Um, so I would bet on them telling guys to go to an area versus go to a man,
Yeah, let's go play
because
zone.
that's just because we are still playing a zone more or less in our defensive zone. It's not really man to man, and yeah. So if you just go to a zone just like you're defending any other time, then it should be fine. It's
Because
just you just have to recognize who's the puck carrier and then who's the other dangerous option.
yeah,
Those
because
are the two things you got to pay attention to.
I think game one off the face-offs we were playing man and we got caught a bit. Like the defense, like the either man or we're just sleeping, like or one of our wingers were sleeping and defensemen were just sneaking in back post and they caught us like 2 3 times like that. It's like
Yeah, and in addition to that, you're looking at guys who are in the defensive zone trying to win faceoffs clean
mm,
versus trying to take as much time as possible to win the faceoff. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Like most people might not understand kind of the nuance of this, but usually when you're in the defensive zone, um, especially if you have maybe a tired group, or you have a group that's maybe not matched up well against the other line, you don't want to try to win the draw clean,
yeah, you want to like
because if you
pass
try to
it.
win the draw clean, you're gonna lose the draw. Like and if you lose the draw, then you have to play defense.
Yeah,
Versus if you play for a tie, or play for a win through a battle, well then our guys have a chance to get in there, win the puck battle, and then use the glass, or break out some other way, instead of, or if they're gonna win the battle, well then they're in a battle and they're not set up in the positions that they should be in, the other team, right? So
yeah,
guys are coming into the face-off dot instead of being positioned where the coaches would like them to be positioned. They got to win the puck battle, right?
yeah.
That's how it is in the NHL. You
Well,
can't
yeah,
just leave your centerman alone, so your guys have got to come in and win the battles for the.
exactly.
That's the thing that I'm looking for tonight, that in the defensive zone, when the situation is like a dire situation, or a
Time
situation
up.
that you can recognize is not ideal, just win. Just fight for a battle. Don't try to win the draw clean. Get your wingers in early. Get your wingers to the points if we lose the draw clean, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, because like I remember one of my coaches when I played hockey in center. I played center for quite a while, and he would say like when I was on my weak side, he would say like if you can't win it 100%, just jump the guy and tie him up. Just put your
Yeah,
jam it into
yeah.
his skates and just tie him up, and then it's up to the wingers to jump.
To get off the blocks. Yeah, yeah,
Because on your weak side, it's a little harder.
yeah.
But I think that's what the Canadians have to do, and we've been like trying to win clean faceoffs.
To be
I
fair,
get it, I understand,
we do have
but
guys who can win faceoffs. Like it's
I've
not like we
brushed
don't. I
60%.
mean, yeah,
I've
Dano's been unbelievable against his team. And Suzuki's been pretty good as well, and we have guys that can play both sides as well. So, um, and what helps is that we have a few wingers like Gallagher who can actually win a faceoff.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
you're not
and
sticking a guy in who can't win a faceoff. I mean, Gallagher is actually pretty good career wise. I think he's like 55% or something career wise,
yeah,
even though he doesn't take many. He's actually pretty good at winning them. So I don't know if that has to do with just his compete level or whatever it is,
the
but
horse.
we do have guys on both handedness that can win draws. I think when Jake Evans is healthy again, and if we
Oh,
can
that's such
insert
a
him back into the lineup, that's a massive plus for us because he's a guy who can win draws, but also can slot on the wing,
yeah,
so that if our centerman gets kicked out of the face off,
right.
kicked out of the
That's
draw.
perfect because then Dano could cheat on his weak side, right? And if he gets thrown out, okay, whatever, he got thrown out. Evans, another centerman comes in, and at least it could be his strong side or it could be his
Yeah,
weak.
yeah,
Just battle again.
yeah. Or what they do is just right side face
Yeah,
offs.
they
Evans
rotate.
will
Yeah,
take, and left side face offs. Dano would take. Either way, I don't want to get into too many technical points because obviously this could go on forever and ever. But it should be an interesting game. I
yeah.
don't think there's going to be any lineup changes as far as I saw online. So we'll see. Obviously, like we mentioned, Alex Tuck looks like he's going to center the Stone and Pacioretty line. If not, I've seen Nicolas Roy in that position before.
Okay.
Listen, his whole life he was a skill guy. He was not a grinder his whole life. I mean, I know I played against him. He was a skill guy his whole life, so it's not like he
It's
can't.
different when you hit the
It's not like
NHL.
he can't make plays. It's
Yeah,
just
he's
you
good.
have to. It's just you have to understand your role when you're
Yeah,
six
it's a
foot
lot
five
different.
and you can skate and hit guys. Like that's going to be your role. Um, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that tonight if that trio that we mentioned before doesn't work out right away in the first period or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised to see a switch there. Um, but yeah, either way, it's going to be an entertaining game. We'll see if the Habs can kind of feed off of the limited crowd that they have again. I think it's going to be pretty important, like you said, in the first 5-10 minutes. We always used to say first five, last five is the of every period is the most
Most
important
important.
because
Yeah,
the middle 10 is kind of just the flowy part. It's just where you can get into flow or where you can where you lose track of time and whatever. It's just really the first five and last five. Be focused and make sure that you're making every play. And for the most part, Canadians have done that pretty well this
yeah.
postseason. So we'll see what happens. Um, yeah, 8 o'clock tonight, puck drop. This will come out right before that, so you guys can pregame this. Be very interesting to listen to right before our thoughts, and as we're listening, we'll see the drop of the puck probably. But let's get to obviously the Euros because we didn't really get a chance to speak about the Euros. We previewed the Euros. Obviously for Italy because we are two Italians living in Canada, or Canadian Italians. I wouldn't say Italians living in Canada, but we do cheer for Italy. I mean, I cheer for Canada too. We're just never in any competitions. Obviously, the Euro we're not even eligible. So I mean, but we do have some kind of up and coming kids. Obviously, Jonathan David and Alfonso Davies
Yeah.
playing for our national team, and
Started.
we're on to the World Cup qualifiers that final round, right?
Fuck that.
Uh, we'll see what happens, but we're really here to talk about the Euros,
Yeah.
in particular the Italian national team. Um, listen, people before we got in said Turkey is the dark horse of the tournament,
Yeah,
and
I was so surprised when people said that.
Turkey's got some skilled young guys that could surprise people and whatever, and Italy kind of just went on their way and didn't give them much and just converted on every opportunity they had.
All Turkey had was their defense. They're very good. They had very good defenders, and I knew coming into the game their plan was to defend 90 minutes and hopefully get a tie, and then the next two games they could manage to get the three
A
points.
win,
Good,
yeah,
right?
yeah. which they probably could have done versus the teams like Wales or teams
Yeah,
like
surprised they lost.
Switzerland. They might have had a chance. Yeah, I think Wales, that one was more surprising than
Yeah,
anything.
uh,
So
a
now
lot
the
of
question is Turkey good? Is Turkey not as good as people thought, or is Italy much better than people thought?
yeah. I think
Right?
people underestimated Italy, and I told everyone coming into this tournament, I said Italy is going to be so underestimated because a lot of the players, I would say 90% of them play in Serie A, and they kind of like they're all scattered
Yeah,
kind of everywhere. So they don't play for like really big clubs like Serie A clubs. The last, I'll say, the last 5 years, they haven't been like talked about in like European wise as
yeah, yeah,
likes of like the
yeah. I get what you're saying.
English teams, the German teams, the Spanish teams. You know, it's all about them. It's all about them. You know, so I think people are underestimating the talent that these guys have, and it's clearly we're able to score goals. Since when has Italy scored 6 goals in 2 games in a fucking
Hasn't I don't think it's, first of all, it never happened in the Euro ever
tournament? We never see that.
for the Italian
Never,
national team.
never. Usually,
I see everywhere. It's not, you don't know, it's Italy. That's the
yeah,
idea. It's not, we're
exactly.
not necessarily the team that will just sit back and wait for one chance and capitalize. Um, and I think listen, this roster, like we had said before, we made it to the finals in 2012, and the roster was nowhere close to as talented as this
Oh, it
one
was
is.
even worse. It was even worse.
Um, there was a time between 2012 and now when people who really follow Italian soccer were a little bit worried about, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah. There was a
just the
lot of
talent, the lack of talent, and the lack of development happening, and maybe the lack of players playing in Serie A, so they have that, that experience and stuff like that. But I guess since maybe 2017, 18 or so, it's been a lot better, I would say. And yeah, I mean, you just look at the kids that are on our team, right? I mean, obviously Donnarumma is a special talent himself, right? I mean, he's taking after, he'll probably take after his namesake
yeah.
in the Gigi category.
For
But
real.
not only him, but you have a guy like Chiesa, who's one of Juventus's most, I guess, talented players, sitting on the bench right now.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have you have you have Barella, who's also pretty young as well.
Yeah. It was like
Um,
early
you
20s.
have guys that like Spinazzola, I think is 26. You have guys that have
Yeah.
some career left in them as well. So it's not just you're not just relying on that back line of Bonucci and Chiellini
Yeah.
and Florenzi. Obviously, he's not 100% healthy from what I've heard. But you're not just relying on those veterans, to get you through and okay, we'll see what happens, when we get to the round of 16. It's really like kind of come and get us kind of thing.
Oh,
I think that's the attitude that this team has. I think the structure that they're playing. Um,
we're not satisfied. If you notice, like we get a
yeah,
goal,
yeah,
not like it's not enough.
and
Like
you're not
no,
sitting.
we're getting another one, and we're gonna get another one. Make sure like 3 goals
Yeah,
or
yeah,
close it.
yeah.
So
I
I
think.
like.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So they have a killer mentality that I don't think I've seen for the last 10 years. I've been watching soccer. I don't think like Italy, like international. I don't think I've seen that. Usually, it's we get a goal, okay, let's defend, or it's park the bus, we're defending, we'll hit you on the counter. Like
Hit you on the counter. We'll hit you on set pieces.
yeah, exactly. Like
Stuff like
when we
that.
went to
Yeah.
the finals in was it 2012 against when we lost against Spain? Exactly how we played. We parked the bus, we hit everyone on the counter or off corners and off free kicks.
Yeah,
And
and it worked to a certain extent, but
yeah,
the team just wasn't good enough. Like it just wasn't
yeah,
a talented enough
the
team.
quality wasn't there
Yeah,
to play against
to
that Spanish team that literally that was retarded team,
yeah,
retarded team. So we'll see. Now Italy, we can take. They're not. I don't know. They shouldn't. They're not going to take it easy. The last game, I think we should go out and just crack Wales and chow by. You know. But we'll rest guys. I think Chiellini is not going to play. I don't think Bonucci should play either. I think maybe
I
Jorginho.
mean, listen. I
You
mean, I don't
should
mind them
defend.
playing. I wouldn't mind subbing them. I wouldn't mind them starting playing a half even.
Yeah, okay, you could do
They
something
do
like
have
that.
they do have more subs than they used to.
Yeah, we have well,
With the whole
yeah,
COVID, I
we're
think
all five.
is the reason,
But
or I'm not even sure why there's
yeah,
five.
it's
Is
because
it because of COVID?
of COVID. In my opinion, I think they should keep the 5 subs because a lot of injuries have been occurring, and
Yeah,
at
yeah, I
least you
see what
get
you're
two
saying.
extra subs. You know, but we'll see what happens in the next game. So regardless of what happens, Italy is playing either Ukraine or Austria, and then round of 16. So those are our two teams that we're playing.
Yeah, because we get matched up against that group, right? Against
Yeah, Group C. So we get the
Group C.
second best. We get the second place of Group C. I thought we were going to get a third place team, but it's not the fact. It's
Hmm.
because we're in like one of the weakest groups, so we get a second place group. You understand what I mean?
I see. Because the group doesn't have enough points, you mean, or because the rankings are not high enough?
The rankings are not high enough.
Oh, like
So
FIFA rankings or
yeah,
whatever.
I don't know exactly what it is, but it has
Interesting.
something to do with the quality of the teams that are there. Like we have an easy group, so we're facing a harder team in the second round. As if like if you look at the Germany group, the group of death there with Germany,
Yeah,
France,
yeah. Germany,
Portugal.
France, Portugal. Yeah.
Whoever finishes first is playing against, if I'm not mistaken, a third place, like the best third place team of
Okay, interesting.
whatever group. So we'll see this Sunday. See what happens.
Yeah. I guess the only other comment I would have, or the other kind of thing we should mention is one the streak that they're currently on.
29.
I think it's 29 games undefeated,
The record is
and
30. The record is 30.
the Italian national team
That
record is 30. I
national.
think the all time record for international wins is
Wow,
35, if I'm not mistaken.
we're almost there.
So if they at some point get past everyone in this tournament and pretty much win, they'll be most likely tied with
Yeah.
the um with the record or something like that,
Also,
because
we
they got
haven't.
one more game. Then they got round of 16, round of 8, round of 4, round of 2. So you're
Yeah.
looking at 5 more games, and you're one short. You're one shy of the all time record.
If I'm not mistaken, we also haven't conceded a goal in the last 7
We
games.
have not They have not conceded a goal in the last
7 or something.
something like that. I know it's 30 something goals without being conceded on.
That's crazy.
I think it's quality. I think it's quality defense that Italy's just known to have, and I think it's also, when we attack you, it takes up time. It eats up time on the clock. All right, so um, it's not like we don't have any attacking pieces. Again, to go back to that, is that we do have the attacking pieces that they didn't have maybe 4 years ago, 8 years ago,
Yeah.
all that. So teams can't just continually pressure us all the time, because if you've noticed, our pressure isn't high in the territory, like in their territory, but as soon as they do get the ball, it's a very high press, pretty much from the halfway line,
Yeah. We went back.
even a little bit before the halfway line. It's pretty much high press until there. Last game you saw Switzerland try to high press,
Us. Okay.
try to high press Italy, and kind of happened with Turkey as well, and that's kind of how they got caught out. Turkey did anyway, that first game. But that high press system that Switzerland was doing was forcing Italy to go long.
Yeah.
But then Switzerland didn't have the quality to take second balls back, to win, headers, win key headers, win possession
The one
back,
on one.
and keep possession back. Because once you put 6 guys up,
Yeah.
pressing,
It's tough to come back.
now you're talking about 5 guys defending and 5 guys trying to retain possession if they do get the possession, right? So whereas you're doing like a 6-on-4 kind of thing in the defensive end, Italy side, and you play that ball long, even if you lose the first ball, well, you're basically 7-on-4 to get that second ball. Um, so I think it's going to be an interesting game against Wales. I don't really expect Wales to come out with a victory.
Look,
If they play their second team basically, and they come out with a tie, hey, it is what it is.
whatever.
But
Look,
I do fully expect Italy to win on Sunday. They're playing very well, and I think I guess you can probably talk about this too, because you mentioned it at first. Last time we spoke about this was their ability to build out of that left side,
yeah.
and spread the pitch, in that left side. And what's kind of scary for other teams, I think, is that that that's the plan, and it's just still hasn't been able to be solved, right? So I think that's probably what's scariest about this Italy team, is that you almost know what's coming sometimes, and you still can't defend it. So
I love it. I like it, but let's keep
yeah,
it going.
I don't know if there's anything else you want to add about that, but
Like I said, we're playing like a different style of football, and I think big credit has to go to Mancini, because He changed the whole like sort of identity of how Italy should play its football, and it's no more like okay, let's sit back. It's more let's take the game to them. So let's force the game to them, and I kind of like that we're changing it. We're not boring, no more like oh Italy's playing okay 1-0, fucking boring, It's no more like that now. It's the kind of exciting games where it's like 3 goals and 6 goals in 2 games. It's like wow, you know.
Yeah, you can see the quality of finishing too. I think that's also what's been lacking in terms of. I mean, listen, we don't have world class
No, but they're
finishers.
good players. They're good players.
I guess you can argue that Immobile, because he's a perennial 25, 30 goal guy in Serie A.
Yeah, but
I mean, yeah,
but he's been criticized a
yes,
lot.
but he's been criticized because he hasn't been able to
He
score
hasn't held up
international.
with the national team, and
But that's what I'm saying. We they don't necessarily have
yeah,
the world class Ronaldo or world
yeah.
class Lewandowski or world class guys that can, that if they get the ball, they get one chance, they're gonna make it.
Oh yeah.
This team needs to create chances,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's what they're doing. And I think it's like you said, credit to Mancini for realizing that that's the case. Because if they were to play like we've always played, there is still an aspect of how we've always played. There's just still
Yeah,
that
yeah.
aspect of
It's still there.
passing the ball in the U and just having that position, and then
Mm-hmm.
8 guys back in a line, and you can see there's no gaps in our defense, and that's we have that system that's
Yes.
always been in place in the Italian national team. But
It's a little
you have to
different.
think about, hey, we don't have a Ronaldo that can make a difference every single night. We don't have a Lewandowski who needs one chance, then and he's burying it. Um, so they have to create chances, and so that's exactly what they've been able to do. They've been able to press. They've been able to turn the ball over. They've been able to keep possession. They've been able to build. I mean, they're both of their games. I think were 60+% percent
Mm-hmm.
possession.
Yeah, we control
When you control the pace and you control the play and you control the chances, 9 times out of 10 you're going to win the game,
Oh yeah.
right? So again, credit to Mancini, and I think him being a forward and him being a pretty elite forward at the time
He was good in his time.
has to do with it. I think that has to do with it, and uh, they are currently ranked 7th in the world in terms of FIFA rankings.
Not bad.
It goes Belgium, France, Brazil, England, Portugal, Spain, Italy.
That's pretty good actually.
Um, Germany a surprising 12th.
Yeah, well they've struggled.
But I think they've lost a little bit of quality of players, and I think guys are getting older, and it happens. You get cycles of it. We are, yeah. I don't know if you want to talk about any of the other
No,
groups.
I was just gonna end it off with like a soccer news, kind of like
Yeah, go
with
ahead.
Little Italy. So in the last couple of days, I don't know if people follow like Serie A, but Buffon left Juventus and he just signed for Parma, which that was the team that he originally started with his career, and now he's going back there. And apparently, he said that he wants to be the third goalie for Italy in the 2022 World Cup.
I mean,
What the hell? When I saw that, I was so pumped. I was like, please, yes, put him in the World Cup. Put him around the squad. Like, what does it hurt? Like, just to have him on the bench,
yeah.
just that experience and just that the leadership that he brings to the table. Like, I don't know why he's not there right now.
I think the only downside maybe is that, I mean, listen, you're gonna bring 3 goalies, right? You're gonna bring 3 goalkeepers.
Exactly. The third goalie,
I
he
think the
can't
only
run.
downside is that you don't give somebody an opportunity that's a little bit younger to get a little bit of a sniff of what's going on, right? So
You're there to win, right? You're there to win, not to.
I understand, but you got to also think about,
Yeah, I know, I know. If you
Buffon's won everything there is to win aside from
champion,
UCL.
yeah,
So it's no longer coming from the national team. The thing that he's missing. I mean, the thing that he's missing is the UCL.
yeah.
Uh,
I just wanted to end it off with that little.
yeah, yeah, and I guess I'll kind of do a little recap of what do you want to do? Do you want me to just rattle off the scores, or maybe I'll rattle off some of the important ones that I thought
Yeah, like
were.
the France against Germany.
Yeah, so France, Germany, own goal by Hummels, 1-0 France.
Yeah,
That was on Tuesday this week. Portugal, pretty convincing 3-0 win.
yeah,
I thought Hungary didn't really deserve the 3-0
yeah.
win,
Harsh,
loss. I
a
mean,
little harsh.
but at the same time, Portugal is a quality team, and there's a reason they're kind of one of, I guess you could say, the favorites to go deep into the tournament. Belgium over Russia, 3-0 in the first game. What else was important here? I guess everyone talked about the Denmark-Finland,
Yeah,
situation. I don't want to really talk about Ericsson. I mean, wish him well. He's doing fine. I don't want to get into it too much because that's like way out of my pay grade. So there's that. Spain tying Sweden. I thought that was pretty
yeah.
interesting considering Spain have always been seen as a pretty good team, at least in our lifetime. And then yeah,
England,
I mean
England
the
and
only other
England and Scotland that just split
yeah,
up.
and today was probably the other interesting game that I saw. England and Scotland. I thought Scotland had a real good chance to come away with it. They had a few chances that kind of slipped away. But that was it.
Okay.
So now we're waiting on Hungary, France tomorrow, Portugal, Germany, which should be a great game tomorrow at 12 Eastern time, and Poland and Spain tomorrow at 3 p.m. as well before we kick off on Sunday, Italy and Wales. So
All right.
we'll see what happens in the Euro. If people are watching the U.S. Open, Phil Mickelson's playing right now, looking for his first U.S. Open ever. He's +4, I believe, at the moment. But hey, if you're not watching any of these sports going on right now, I'm not sure what you're doing. And that's not even to count the Formula One that's in France this weekend. So this weekend's big, big, big in sports.
Kind of split it up.
NHL playoffs, Euro still continuing, U.S. Open, and that F1 in France. So we'll try to keep you posted. Maybe we'll have a little update on Sunday after the Italy game. I wouldn't mind doing a little 10-15 minute video for you guys, just recapping it. And yeah, hey, thanks for joining us again, as always. Franks, thanks for joining me here.
Worries, no, anytime.
And yeah, enjoy the game tonight. Go Habs, go! I guess.
Hope they get a win.